What's up? Hey, for everybody out there that has the time to tune in, I appreciate you tuning in. As you can see, I am here on amanilyfe channel. So one of the last videos I left off on, I was kind of talking about the channel, but I just want to keep it up in the background. Today, we're really just going to talk about health and wellness and how our bodies adjust to aging, food, and fasting, digestion. All of these things are related. So, of course, as we get to a point in our life where we realize that uh, paying attention to what we eat does have a significant impact on our recovery and how we feel throughout the day. And we want to pay more attention to how we can maintain more of a positive, energetic response. So, traveling could have an impact on that. Consuming foods that are a little more processed or less organic, less natural, does have a major impact on how the body digests. And if you're paying attention to the time that you're spending in the bathroom, that'll be one major indicator. A lot of times our senses are overwhelmed, both sight and taste, not even just taste, smell as well. So probably four of the major senses that we really relate to are impacted. The only one that may not be as impacted is hearing, but sometimes when you hear somebody cooking something, or you know that they're cooking something that's like a meal that you really would like, maybe you'll perk up. But seeing it, tasting it, smelling it, and touching, consuming that food is something that our senses just kind of get us reared up, and it kind of becomes a little bit of an addiction once we get into those things. So today I'm breaking fast, and in breaking fast, I am breaking fast. I broke fast today with peanuts and bananas. The initial break was with peanuts and bananas. And then I had a juice, which consisted of pineapples and a few other fruits. I don't know everything that was included in that. And from there, had some collard greens and sweet potato and a little bit of cornbread. The cornbread is usually something I kind of stay away from, but on this occasion, I had that as well, and it all tastes good. And for those of you who know what cha-cha is, I had some cha-cha. So hadn't had cha-cha in a long time. It's a nice homemade relish dish. So one of the things that I wanted to introduce in this discussion, just back to the theme, health and wellness as we age, how our food is playing a role in that, and what we can do to maintain our healthy status. One of the things you can do is buy or invest in information. So this book, I can't remember exactly where I bought it, but it's called More Ultimate Healing. More Ultimate Healing. And sometimes information, when you read it, it might sound a little over the top, but holding on to the information, being aware of it after you begin to see and understand, oh, okay, fasting really does help me feel better. Like that idea was kind of foreign to me. The idea of not eating would help me feel better. And it wasn't until I really began to pay attention to how I was feeling. First, I had to start fasting. And then once I started fasting, I had to pay attention to how I was really feeling. So books like this are really helpful. So for example, I just turned to a random page and there's content in this book. This title is Men's Health Made Simple. And I'm just going to read a paragraph I did not prepare this. I just opened it up to this. When it comes to staying healthy, it is best to keep your regimen as simple as possible. That makes sense. To begin with, men older than age 50 should take a daily multivitamin and ask their doctor if they should take a daily baby aspirin to prevent dangerous blood clots that can lead to heart attacks and stroke. Now, I've heard of that. I'm not quite yet in this category, but if you're maintaining a relatively healthy blood pressure, which is something I talk about all the time, maintaining your blood pressure, and hopefully you can do it without having to have a high blood pressure medication, then perhaps you may not have to do what's recommended here. But think about it. If you are in that category and you think you need to do that, that's something that you should consider doing. In addition, they should eat fish twice a week to protect their hearts, wear sunscreen when outdoors, and drink alcohol in moderation. Just one glass of wine if you're having it with dinner. And of course, they should not smoke. So these things are probably for some people obvious, but eating fish twice a week may not be obvious for a lot of people, especially if you're carnivore. Now, luckily, I've been, for the most part, a pescatarian, with the exception of having turkey and chicken most of my life. And given that I don't eat so much red meat, it wasn't so much of a problem to get away from it. But having fish, which has, the omega-3 fatty acids, it's a lighter meat, probably, well, maybe not today, but at one point in time, it was probably less processed than red meat, is a good idea just to keep the load off of your digestive system. Beyond these basic steps, they should also practice preventative health measures, including regular checkups and diagnostic screening tests, and maintain a healthful lifestyle. The right habits. Most men struggle to eat healthy diets full of fruits and vegetables, to get their regular exercise, and to curb stress. To simplify matters, they all should follow these basic guidelines. Know the basics about fats and carbs. Don't be defeated by the exercise challenge. And don't ignore stress. Now, there's much more information to be read here, but very high level. These are things that I try to stress, no pun intended, to the audience. Knowing what your blood pressure is, getting to a point where you know your baseline blood pressure. And this is where fasting comes in. I fast 40 continuous hours every week. And the reason that I do that is because I realize that my body actually benefits more from taking a break from consuming food. Now, in my mind, I feel like I need to eat, especially if I'm doing more than the 40 hours. That second day is usually a big deal. But when I know in my mind I've set to do that 40 hours, then that first, somewhere around the 18-hour mark, I start to feel like I need to eat. Um, because I stop eating at 6 p.m. There about between 6 and 8, I stop eating. So 6 o'clock the next morning, spend 12 hours. And then another 6 hours later, I definitely want to have something to eat. But if I make it through there, especially with having some type of tea, water, or juice, then I'm pretty much good to go. Now, same thing happens when I do a longer fast, like a 3 to 5 day fast. That second day, though, is usually where I have the most resistance, where I feel like I have cravings or urges that I want to eat. But once you get past that, once you fast long enough and you can allow your body to regulate, to self-regulate, it doesn't mean, stop taking your medication and doing those things. It just means that you've gotten to a point where you can see how your body feels without any doses of anything. Specifically, I'm talking about food or alcohol. I'm not talking about your medication. You should continue to take your medication. But once you realize that you feel, for the most part, comfortable with doing this type of fasting, intermittent fasting, then when you get to the point where you're actually seeing your blood pressure regulate, uh, hopefully naturally, then you can start to understand what's influencing your blood pressure, whether it's stress, foods that you're consuming, your lack of exercise, medication, people, your environment. The list can go on, but fasting, eliminating the food uh, aspect, is one of the most important and effective ways to kind of get to the point. And even if you don't stop eating, but you fast from meat, you fast from alcohol, you fast from whatever those things are that you may have an indication that could have a significant impact on your blood pressure, just eliminate those things. It could be sugar, it could be salt, it could be whatever other type of sodium, starch. Take some time, invest in understanding what's going on and how your body is breaking these foods down, and look at how your body is responding from a metric, that being your blood pressure. Now, there's several types of blood pressure monitors. You can get the wrist type, you can get the cuff, and there are various ways to fit this into your schedule. I recommend taking your blood pressure in the morning after you've gone to the bathroom, but before you've eaten, and make sure that you haven't done any excessive motion. Take some time, sit for 5 to 7 minutes, take your blood pressure reading, have an understanding of where you are based on waking up without food in your body from a recent, sitting. If you ate the night before, then fine. And also do the same thing in the evening. And if you're pretty familiar with what your blood pressure is, and you usually are in a safe and good range for your body, then maybe you don't need to do this every day. But if you have no idea, and I'm really encouraging men that are age 22 and up, and that 22 number is very important, because if we don't start at an age where we understand where we should be, when we get to the point where we need to know what our blood pressure is, then we'll we'll have no baseline. We'll have no idea as to what we should be reading. And just for example, if you start measuring your blood pressure, let's say in your late 20s, 28, 29, and it's 140 over 88, you have no real awareness from experience of what that really means. And what happens is you just think that, oh, okay, since I started measuring my blood pressure, this is what it is. Well, it's already high. It's already up there. You shouldn't be in this range on a regular basis. And since you start there, and even though you know because somebody's told you it's high, or you can see it in a chart, it doesn't register the same. Whereas when you know from an earlier age and you realize, okay, when I first started measuring my blood pressure, I was like 120 over 79. I was 118 over 70, whatever it is. And then fast forward to 29 again, you realize you 140 over 88 or whatever it is. You actually have an awareness and a relationship with what your vital numbers should be versus somebody just telling you. And I've said this probably on more than one occasion, but I met a guy, and he was only 28, and I was just having a conversation, making sure that people are aware of what their blood pressure levels should be. And he had already had a stroke. He was 28. He did subscribe to the channel. I appreciate you sharing your information and your story with me. And the point that I'm getting at here is to prevent getting to the point where you're having excessive blood pressure and it becomes a chronic high blood pressure, hypertension situation. You can minimize the risk. It doesn't mean you'll eliminate the risk, but you can minimize the risk of having a major life-changing event. And your health and wellness is just that important. So high blood pressure, one thing that people don't really say, or doctors don't say a whole lot about, perhaps they do, but we don't talk about it as men. When we are prescribed a high blood pressure medication, it has an impact on our entire body. And when you need blood flow to go to your organs for extracurricular activities, if you want to be in a good relationship, if you want to have and enjoy the relationship and time with your significant other, if you want your wife to be happy, if you want to be happy, you know, blood pressure medication has an impact on your erections. And I myself, I can't speak for everybody out there. I want to keep getting erections for as long as I can. It shouldn't stop. People say it does. I'm not trying to find out. But now that I know that blood pressure medication has an impact on that, there's no way that I just want to take a blood pressure medication to maintain a lower blood pressure. I am not a doctor. You should seek advice from a doctor. What I do know is when I start eating fruits and vegetables, my body, not me, my body says do this more because I feel so good. My body says I can do Asian squats or a deep squat and I can pull my knee to my chest without any problem because I don't have that inflammation from whatever it may be, from Doritos, potato chips, starch, all those things. Appreciate the comments. Doing well. Appreciate you for being here. I don't know about that Taco Bell 6 nights a week. No, don't do that. Not me. Now, if we talking like some type of, like I had some butternut squash tacos not too long ago. I can do that 6 nights a week. The butternut squash was baked, lightly oiled with a little bit of avocado oil. And, in my opinion, it's a good alternative on the taco. I'm doing well out there. Appreciate you being here, sending the message. Okay, that's what's up. Well, subscribe to the channel if you see me. Let me know what you think about the content. And back to maintaining and regulating our blood pressure. Waiting until we're up in age to maintain that blood pressure is not where we want to be. We want to get on the front end of it so we don't have to take all these pills. And I don't want this channel to be political, but looking at what's going on in the world today, just look at what's happening. Our food supply isn't the best. We're going to have restrictions on fuel due to unforeseen conditions in the world. The economy, the economy is changing. There are going to be tighter restrictions. And one major thing that's been talked about is helium. Helium comes from a certain part of the world that's in conflict right now. And that helium is needed to do MRIs. What does that mean? That means that hospitals are already rationing out the helium so that they're not going to be as many procedures that can be done because we know that the helium supply isn't going to be flowing like it used to. And I think if we think about that scenario, just think about that scenario in relation to our food. Think about whether or not we'll be able to get bananas, organic bananas, or organic food in general. Just think about that. the likelihood of being able to maintain a healthy status decreases if your food supply isn't as healthy as it can be. Don't worry about being annoying. It's all good. Appreciate the comments. Let me know if you have any questions or suggestions on how we can share more healthy habits. And that's really what I try to project, is making sure that we're at least aware of healthy habits that we can implement into our lifestyle and routine, so that we can stack multiple healthy habits versus stacking some of the snack habits that we have. You know, if you like donut sticks, and then you like pop, soda, whatever you want to call it, and then you smoke a little bit, and then you have candy, those are habits. They're just not as healthy. Replacing those things with like dates or whatever fruit that you have available that's in season, um, grapes, things that have uh, sugar, but with the fiber attached, not just straight sugar. You know what I'm saying? Not just like um, your favorite candy. And then if you're going to go with something that's like a chocolate, you can go with a chocolate that has maybe 70% cacao or much less sugar, basically. And you'll get a lot of, I believe it's flavonoids. I'm not 100% sure, but there's a lot of health benefits with just going with cacao. Now, if you do 100% cacao, which I did one time, actually a few times, now that I've been able to uh, get my sugar desire under control, it's not so bad. You know, I like 100% cacao. Um, but if I'm eating it with something that's already naturally sweet, like um, let's say uh, dates, then it kind of balances out. Or if I get, which I probably shouldn't get, the coconut flavored uh, yogurt, or any yogurt that has a little bit of sugar in it, then it kind of balances out. So the other book, which maybe I'll get to it next week, but I'll talk about it real quick here. Bottom Lines, Prescription Alternatives. Having this information, just having information like this uh, available to you can help, because then you will at least be aware of where you can get some of your natural plant-based alternatives for health and wellness. So like dandelions, people who have dandelions in their yard, that's actually not a bad thing. We just so used to spraying the yard up with all types of chemicals, kill everything except the grass. You know, that doesn't actually provide much benefit to ourselves and to nature, because all the chemicals are going to run off. Eventually, they're going to get possibly into uh, water that we'll eventually want to consume. And not only that, we're killing plants that actually have medicinal value. You know, I never thought that I would go to a store to buy dandelion, but I've gone to the store to buy dandelion for the purpose of making tea. You know, things that we don't necessarily think about could have a positive impact on our lives if we just keep a little bit of information around us, so that we can be prepared once the opportunity presents itself. So I appreciate everybody for tuning in, and I'll try to be a little more engaging. The distance from myself to the comments is a little bit far, so I can't read everything exactly when it comes through. And, you know, I'm getting better. All good. Appreciate you for tuning in. And until next time, keep stacking those healthy habits. Peace.